Charming Mayor HEBRON, and I was going to report the flows of migrants into and within Europe. The first part is the Brexit and British EU migration, and the second part is the undocumented migration across the Mediterranean into Europe. Since the ratification of the Maastricht Treaty, a number of nations have been added to the European Union, including the less developed Eastern European nations such as Poland in 2004, Bulgaria and Romania in 2007, and Croatia in 2013. One of the key points of the Maastricht Treaty was to move to Europe toward being an increased borderless society, at least as far as the members of nations and their citizens are concerned. Fears of immigration were especially important in fueling the Brexit vote. This vote followed several years of intense public debate over various aspects of the European Union, but especially the impact of free movement of workers from Eastern Europe. Many larger issues are developed in this debate. There are those who argue that the influx of low-wage immigrants aids a country like Great Britain by making its product less expensive and therefore more competitive in global marketplace. They characterize the liquid migration as that where such youth mobilities are predominantly work and study driven, are envisioned as temporary and mainly invisible due to open borders. Hence, they are legal and are spontaneous and unpredictable. For these young adults, open borders within the European Union permitted their self-development, career opportunities, and the ability to increase their earnings relative to their homes, cities, and countries. London has always represented a means for them to achieve their dreams of a new life. Undocumented migration across the Mediterranean into Europe. The EU countries employ a system known as Frontex to police their borders. Frontex makes use of patrol boats, spotter airplanes, radar on land, and other high-tech devices. Many migrants must also overcome a treacherous route across the Mediterranean Sea in order to get into Europe. This is the most common route used by undocumented migrants. The typical entry points into the European Union have varied across the years based on a number of political, geographical, and economic factors. Migrants often travel from Turkey to three Greek islands, which is the Lesbos, Chios, and especially the Samos. Although it is a short dingy ride from Turkey to Chios, the water are treacherous and the trip is quite dangerous. Most of immigrants on this route come from Syria and Iraq. Another common route has been from Libya, across the central Mediterranean Sea and into Italy. Libya's lack of a strong government makes it easy for smugglers and traffickers to organize their voyage and depart its shores undetected. As a result, a study of stream of refugees and migrants has attempted the journey, mostly from Nigeria, Guinea, and Côte d'Ivoire. Traditionally, smugglers use small wooden boats and pack as many migrants on board as possible. The boats would frequently capsize and sink, leaving the passengers to drown. The smugglers even built the boats so that the engine could be easily removed, in order that a second boat could pick up the driver and the engine if they were to sink or were capped by Frontex. As in the United States and United Kingdom, as the flow of documented and undocumented immigrants to Greece, Italy, Germany, and other European countries has increased, so has resistance to it. In addition to increased enforcement measures, it has helped stoke the rise of far-right nationalist parties across Europe. In Italy, voters supported anti-immigrant politicians in 2018 elections. A neo-fascist shot 6 applicants in the city of Macerata. Right-wing politicians promised to kick 600,000 migrants out of the country, and support has grown for exiting the European Union.
Remittances and diaspora. Remittances constitute the second largest source of money flowing into developing countries from the rest of the world. They are even catching up to foreign direct investment, or FDI, from private companies, which is much less stable across time. In some countries in South Korea, remittances constitute a substantial, even stunning proportion of GDP. Remittances are usually seen as a boon to those who receive them, as well as to the economies of the society in which they live. Remittances, ito po yung padala or pera padala na siyang maaari kang padalhan o magpadala sa mga taong mahal mo na nasa malayo. Pagbabayad ng mga bills na nasa malayong lugar. Karamihan sa mga taong nagpapadala ng pera sa kanilang pamilya ay yung mga taong magtatrabaho sa malayong lugar. Para lang may panggastos araw-araw ang kanyang pamilya. Remittances po ay ang pumapangalawang pinagbumulan ng pera na siyang nagpapaunlad sa ating bansa at mula sa ibang bahagi ng mundo. Kaya din po tayo umunlad sa pagpapadala ng dahil na rin sa sinisilyan na bayad sa pagpapadala ng pera. Remittances can reduce poverty, go directly to those in need and give them experience with banks and savings, go help deal with emergencies, be used to raise educational levels, be a source of pride and confidence in the receiving community, be counter-cyclical, be preferable to foreign aid, increase a nation for reserves and thereby reduce its borrowing costs, be monitored by estimate rather than by official. Yung remittances can po, ito yung mga magagandang gawin upang makatulong sa mga taong nangangailangan ng tulong. At para bigyan ng kalaman ang ibang tao, maaari rin nating ibahagi sa kanila ang ating nalalaman. On the other hand, there are negatives associated with remittances and the immigration they help to encourage that are difficult to rebut. First, the most skilled and educated citizens of less developed countries are the ones more likely to live and to remain in developed countries. And the money that is infused into the local economy does not necessarily translate into economic growth and development. Third, those who receive remittances can become the targets of local gangs interested in stealing either the cash they receive or the products purchased with the cash. Fourth, the money sometimes goes to countries that have regimes that are highly dubious, such as Zimbabwe and North Korea. It is surprisingly costly, although that cost has been declining to send remittances. 6. While they may help, remittances are no cure for poverty. 7. There is the problem of those left behind. Example, children when people immigrate in search of work. 8. The poorest nation are not the greatest recipients of remittances. Finally, in the end, we are still talking about relatively small sums of money, and the subject of remittances tends to obscure the problem of the exploitation of migrants. Nasabi po dito na may ilan na negatibo sa remittances at immigration na tinutulungan din nilang hingkiyatin ang mga tao at tugunin ang sinasabi dito. Nasabi po dyan, kahit na may pinag-aralan ka at natapos mo ang kurso mo, hindi ka pa rin gaanong uunlad. Kaya po ang ibang bansa upang magtrabaho doon dahil na mas malaking pagkakataon na kumita ka ng malaki-laking pera. May mga tao rin pong nais na umunlad. Kaya ang ginagawa ng iba ay nagnanakaw ng pera na natatanggap ng may-ari ng pera. At yung mga nasa Zimbabwe at North Korea raw po, dun daw po napupunta ang pera na nakakapaghinala sa nakakarami. Minsan din po, nagkakaroon ng problema ang mga tao kung saan nila iiwan ang kanilang anak upang maghanap ng trabaho sa ibang bansa. Well then, remittances have been an increasing reality, but perhaps not unmitigated due to the economics of developing countries and the people who remain there. Let's not forget $1 billion in the hands of poor people in a love of money. Huwag nating kalimutan ang $1 bilyong ay nasa kamay ng mga mahirap na tao, sapagkat nagpupursige sila sa pagtatrabaho. Diaspora. It has also come to be used widely in the popular media to describe a range of population movements. In recent years, however, the use of terms has broadened to include the dispersion, dislocation, and deterioration of any population. Frequently, a diaspora involves the large-scale diaspora of a religious, ethnic, racial, or national group. Another approach, a diaspora can be seen as involving one, several, or all of the following. First, it is social form. That form is defined by the fact of relationships are maintained even though population has been dispersed. Or ay tumutukoy sa pagkalaw ng populasyon mula sa orihinal na bayang pinagmulan. Ang diaspora ay nagmula sa Greek na diaspora na nangangahulugan sa pagpapakalat sa mga relihiyoso, etniko, lahi at pambansang grupo. Ang salitang diaspora ay malapit sa nauugnay sa ideya ng pagpapatapon. Ang Biblia ay tumutukoy sa diaspora ng mga Hudyo na pinapatapon mula sa Israel ng mga Babylonians. Second, it involves a type of consciousness. Those involved have great sensitivity to various interconnections, especially those that span borders, and to attachments that are decentered. It is a mode of cultural production. The diaspora's cultural objects, meanings, and images are produced in and involve global flows. Fourth, it is political. Individual and or collectivity involved in diasporas often become important political players both in their host country and internationally. The use of the term diaspora has expanded with the process of globalization. There are not only more diasporas today, but more people describe themselves and their relationships with others using this term. Ang salitang diasporas ay karaniwang ginagamit upang ilarawan ang mga taong nakikilala natin. While diasporas were relatively unusual in a world dominated by powerful nations, states, and territories, they have proliferated with the decline of the non-state and deterioration. Furthermore, the trans-state community networks that characterize diasporas today are made possible by wide range of technologies. New technologies are playing such an increasing role in diasporas that it could be argued that we have seen the emerge of virtual diaspora. These technologies have provided new ways for people to maintain links with one another, communities to maintain themselves, and even for new communities to be created. Of course, a virtual diaspora requires the barrier existence of a real diaspora, the real dispersal of a given population. Hindi karaniwan ang mga diaspora sa isang mundong pinangungunahan ng mga makapangyarihang tao. Ang mga makabagong teknolohiya ay nagbibigay ng bagong paraan sa mga tao na kahit nasan ka man hindi mawawala ang communication nila sa isa't isa. Ang isang diaspora ay ang tunay na dispersal na naibigay ng ating populasyon.